What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of Creating Madness Live. This will be going out to our Twitter, YouTube, Colorcast, everything. And, we're going to have a lot of fun with this because I got my special guest, Jimmy Unwrapped. Jimmy, before we get the show started, want to shout out all your socials?
Mostly Twitter. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm on Twitter at Jimmy Unwrapped, the way it's spelled right there. But that's pretty much it for right now. I'll branch out later, do some other different things.
Sounds good. And we have an exciting episode planned for tonight because we're in the heat of conference tournament season. We are just, what's today? Thursday. We have
Thursday.
3 more days until Selection Sunday.
Yeah, it's closing in. It's going to be any time now.
A huge part about this is the auto bids. And we'll get into those in just a second because the first one we'd be talking about is the Atlantic Sun, actually. So Jackson State won the auto bid. Jacksonville State went 21-10. They lost in the semifinal game.
Yep.
So this is a very interesting conference for that reason because Bellarmine won the conference tournament. They won the right to the auto bid. However, they are in their second year of transitioning into the Division I basketball from Division II, meaning that for the first 4 years they cannot compete in the NIT or NCAA tournament.
Which makes no sense at all.
Do you know why? You know the reasoning for the rule?
I would understand it the other way around. If it were going from Division I down to Division II, you got this little added thing that the other teams don't have, that you've been playing against real teams for all this time. But the other way around, the only thing I can wrap my mind around that would make good sense is a money thing. The idea of you having to share money with every team in the conference that went to the tournament or is tournament eligible is the only thing that I can really imagine would be like a good reason for it. And even that I think is pretty weak sauce.
For sure. And just going about the first thing you said. So the rule was put in place so teams can't come up from D2, D3, NAI, wherever they're coming up from, to Division I school, gather some recruits because you're a Division I school, and then head back down to the level and compete.
Yeah, nobody's doing
that. I can't think of
nobody's going to do that.
Yeah, can you think of an example in history? I know.
No, I can't even think of an example that could happen. Like that's right. I've heard that idea, but that's, to me, that's just baloney. Like there's no, like nobody's going to do that. Like once you're in Division I, the money is so much better. There is no way you're going to risk losing recruits by going back down to Division II, because those, as easily as those recruits came in, they can sign with somebody else and say, I didn't sign up to play for a Division II school. I want to play Division I, especially with the way the transfer portal is now. Forget about it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So Jacksonville State has their auto bid. We're not going in order of when they were. We're going in order of the list. I believe this is alphabetical. So Jacksonville State is the first auto bid. Very undeserving. They did win the regular season champions, but
according to the rules,
blah 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 blah. According to the rules, coaches should be suspended for life for paying recruits.
Yeah.
We still see a lot of those.
We were talking the other day about the inconsistencies in the NCAA, and that's just one of them. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I think after the season's over, the NCAA should meet and discuss this very topic.
Well, it's not the NCAA. It's not the NCAA. It's the athletic directors of all the schools.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, if you're these small conferences, do you really want to risk it? If you're a big conferences, they couldn't care less. No school's coming from D2 and jumping to the Big Ten.
Unless you're Bellarmine.
Yeah, but still, they're in D1.
Yeah.
That can be a whole nother topic. I want to know if Bellarmine continues this path of success, they're much higher than Liberty. Obviously, this is just hypotheticals, but if Bellarmine were to win their conference tournament 8 out of the next 10 years, at what point do we say move Bellarmine up again?
Yeah.
But
And Bellarmine's been ready for a long time. I mean, there was a few years ago. I can't remember their exact record, but they were real close to a perfect season if they didn't get a perfect season. And it was like back to back years like that where they only had like a handful of losses. Probably had like 5 or 6 losses within 3 years. So they've been ready for this jump for a long time. It's just now that they're here, you have this probation period, and
hey, only 2 more years left.
yeah, only 2 more years. So,
And as we move into the next conference with the auto bid, the Big South, this was really between Winthrop and Longwood. Longwood gets it. Congrats to Longwood. They're probably, I believe, they're a projected 15 seed in the bracketology that we will be looking over next. But great for them. And then for the Colonial, Delaware wins it. I believe this is the first time in 8 or 9 years. They're going back to March Madness.
that's
Good
yeah,
job to the Blue Hens.
game.
I mean, when you think Delaware,
But then they got to face off against Auburn if they.
yeah, good point. Hey, you know what?
Good luck.
Some of these schools winning the conference tournament, winning the regular season means a lot more than success in March.
Oh yeah, they say, "Hey, we got there." Like that's
right. And moving into the next conference, I'm very happy about this. Wright State. I know you weren't on the show as me and John interviewing Wright State's head coach Scott Nagy. Scott Nagy has built Wright State into a powerhouse program. He does that a lot with these mid-majors when he coaches there. I would love to see him get a huge Power 5 job, Power 6 job. But he's done wonders with Wright State. I believe that although Wright State's projected to be a 16 seed, the entire Horizon is a fun conference to watch. If they didn't beat each other up so much, Wright State's a 14 seed, 13 seed.
And I was looking, and it looks like right now they're projected to play Bryant. That would be a really fun game to watch.
Oh, that's going to be a first 4 game I'll actually be willing to tune into.
Definitely one that I want to watch.
Yeah.
If Bryant stays as fired up as they were for the last game, then yeah, I'm for it.
Oh yeah. And then moving into Missouri Valley, Loyola Chicago heading back to March. Probably their worst team since the 2018 team, like their worst tournament team out of the ones that they've been since that Final Four run. But no, it's Loyola. I can't say. And Drew Valentine, you have the youngest coach in the country. He's been very successful, 25-7. If that's your worst team in 5 years, then you're doing something right. If you're a Loyola. Right. And I know you mentioned Bryant, the Northeast Conference winners. They beat Wagner. Peter Kist, the leading scorer in the country. I like his cockiness. I mean, I will say he's been thrown out of a couple games this year already. But, you know, if you're a 6, I feel like he's the type of player, you're down 50. He's going to get the ball and go throw down a windmill.
Yeah, he's definitely got some arrogance there. But you kind of want that. You need one player like that on every team.
Especially if you're a mid-major.
Like, hey, I've got this, and nobody else does.
Yep. So. As you move into the Ohio Valley, there's 3 teams that realistically could have won this, and that would have been Morehead State, Belmont, and Murray State. Of course, Murray State won it, undefeated in conference, 30-2 overall. Wow, Murray State is setting themselves up for a 6 seed, 7 seed, 5 seed. They deserve it. They have been tremendous.
We were talking the other day about Murray State versus Morehead State on a different subject, but like on talking about their coaches or whatnot. And I've really been impressed with Murray State for last 3 years or so. They've really been showing that they're ready to take it to the next step.
For sure. And then we move into the Patriot League where Toothpaste won it. Colgate's heading back. Colgate was last year's everyone's baby darling. Upset Arkansas in the first round. They did not.
Yeah.
This year, my guess is that they're a 16 seed. Just looking at the record, I've not looked at the bracketology too deep.
But to go to Colgate's, to their point or whatever, this is the third year out of the last 4 years that they've been in the tournament, and that's saying something coming from the American. I mean, like it's the American or not the American, the Patriot League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, but usually around this time of year, Air Force picks it up, Navy picks it up. One of these military schools picks it up and really just kind of runs things. And Colgate in the last 3 out of 4 years has been able to get in there. So interesting to watch.
Yep. And we move into the Southern, where Chattanooga beats Furman in one of the wildest games I've ever seen. I've been hyping up Chattanooga for the past 2 months. I'm all aboard with D'Souza, Smith, and everyone on that team. I think Chattanooga, I have them potentially going to the Sweet 16 and a nice little Cinderella story this year. What are your thoughts on the Mocs winning the Southern? After that is near, not half court, but deep three and more than NBA range three for the win.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did watch that game. Okay. Until you said that, I was like, I don't think I watched it. But yeah, I did watch that game. And that game, yeah, it was back and forth the whole time. Like the last 5-6 minutes of the game, like it was just nonstop. And then the half court, like completely sealed it. Like
yeah, David Jean-Baptiste, incredible shot. He was wanting the ball at the end of regulation, was not getting it. But then you have him hitting that clutch shot to end the game. Furman did not miss a single shot in overtime. I think they were a perfect 6 of 6 from the field. I'm not sure the numbers on that. But they did not miss a shot in overtime, and they still lost. What are the odds of that?
Yeah, it was a crazy sequence for sure. And I think, look, they're going against Providence. That could be an interesting game too.
I think that I don't trust the bracketology.
Well, I mean, that's what we have to go off right now. But like, if that's the case, then yeah, that's that.
Yeah.
If they play somebody, I mean, I don't know about Providence at 4. You're right, but okay. Sorry.
Yep. Moving on to the Summit. South Dakota State undefeated in conference. The Jackrabbits are going to be the highest 12 seed, is my guess. And they're looking like everyone's Colgate last year, so I'm not sure if I can pick them no matter what 5 seed they're going against. I'm willing to not pick them just because of how much everyone's on them.
Right.
What are your thoughts? Because they're a tremendous team. They can score the ball, they can play defense, they do it all well. It's just so much hype is on them right now from everyone in the mid-major, everyone in the bracketology community.
I mean, that's what I love about this time of year is you never know. Like, it all depends on how they deal with it. I mean, some teams can take that energy and move it into something substantial, and then other teams just completely crack under the pressure. That's what I really love about this time of year. In general, this is my favorite month of the year. March is like my favorite. Like all this, like uncertainty. Everybody thinks that their team's going deep. Every single fan of every team, except for if you know you're not making it in. Everybody's all in. Everybody's like, okay, if we do this, this, and this, then this is cake. So, yeah. Don't really have a prediction on that one, but I can. But yeah,
As the Sun Belt, Georgia State, one of the hottest teams to end the season. End it with a conference tournament championship. Can they ride this momentum into a huge upset? Maybe. Probably not. But great job. Georgia State etches their name into the history books of the Sun Belt, which hopefully more people are like me and enjoy watching that because that was a really fun conference tournament to watch. And West Coast Conference, who else but Gonzaga?
Yeah, like who else would it be?
As we move into Joe Lunardi's bracketology, this was updated before today. Like, this was updated at midnight Central, 1 a.m. Eastern. So, on Thursday the 10th, we're not going to be. If we see Michigan in here, they're not.
Right.
But first team out, Indiana. Last team in, SMU. They have Michigan as one of the first 4 byes. No, not anymore. But so, and last 4 in Wyoming, Wake Forest, Xavier, SMU. Last 4 byes, Rutgers, Michigan, Notre Dame, Creighton.
I don't know about that Gonzaga top overall seed either.
I think I don't want to say that they fully earned it because they haven't necessarily played the best conference, but
yeah, exactly.
technically by record,
I mean, they definitely deserve a number 1 seed, but like best overall,
we'll give them first overall just because every other team has more losses. Whether they're more credible or not, that's a whole different opinion. But as we move into the 68 team bracket, we always start with the first 4, and for once, there's a game in the first 4 that's a 16-16 seed that I actually care about, like, a lot. Didn't think that would happen, but we'll get to that after Nicholls, Alcorn State. Nicholls, why not?
Yeah, why not?
And we move into Wake Forest Xavier. Alondes Williams versus Zach Fremantle, Paul Scruggs, and a Xavier team that has been, how do we say disappointing, I think would be the correct word to use. Because they had such high hopes. Their bubble, they just lost. They are, if I'm Xavier, I'm thankful that Michigan lost that.
Right. See, I haven't really kept up a whole lot with Xavier, but I was kind of under the impression that they weren't in such bad shape. I thought that they had pretty much kept things, their heads above water anyway, since Chris Mack came to Louisville. Not to the point where they're just as good without him, but to where it's like, okay, this is acceptable.
Right. I feel like I'd have to go Alondes Williams and Wake Forest here, just because.
I'd go Wake Forest with that one. Just.
And moving into Wright State, Bryant, Peter Kiss, and Bryant versus and their red hot team, and you're going up against the Wright State team. I feel like just having the nation's leading scorer is going to help so much more than it usually would.
Right.
I think Bryant should be the pick here, personally. I mean, love Wright State, but Peter Kiss is just so good.
Yeah, I would take Bryant in that one.
Yeah. Wyoming, SMU. Graham Mike, Hunter Maldonado versus that tough SMU team. I'll take Wyoming here.
I'm going to go SMU just to be different. Say Ethan doesn't know what he's talking about.
I like the Cowboys of Wyoming. But moving into the 64 team bracket, Gonzaga versus Nicholls. Yeah, okay, move on.
Yeah.
TCU and Memphis.
Whew.
I don't have Memphis making it unless they win the tournament. They're a conference tournament. So
yeah, I'm taking TCU in that one. I think they got the big head right now. They arguably the best team in the state.
So Texas Tech.
So I said arguably, I guess.
True. And
yeah.
I mean, when you have a guy like Mike Miles who can score the ball well, playmaker, he does everything right from that point guard spot. Yeah. I think I got to take TCU over Memphis, especially because they're the better coach team. And then we move into UConn, North Texas. Are we taking RJ Cole and the Huskies, or are we taking the Mean Green? What are your thoughts?
I'd take UConn in that one. I mean, North Texas is maybe building something, but I don't think they're there yet. But who knows?
Yeah, Donald Sanogo, RJ Cole, and then you're putting them up against, albeit a good defense. It's UConn, and I think that if we're looking at this, like, give or take, a Houston as that 5 seed, then I'd take North Texas. But UConn, I don't like it. As we move to Arkansas and Vermont, credit to the Catamounts. They've been incredible. They've been an incredible program for the past however long, decade, 2 decades, whatever. JD Notae's unstoppable. No, he's not Jalen Williams, is incredible glue guy of the century over here. I'll take the Razorbacks.
Yeah, I think that could be an interesting game. Really, it's another one I kind of want to mark down and watch for sure. Could be really interesting, but I'd go Razorbacks too, just because I want their coach.
Yeah, Eric Musselman. Musselman is.
I got a Musselman crush. Excuse me.
Yeah, I think all college basketball fans except Tennessee fans have one. He's like, that's the type of energy that you want to see from a coach. Like, if your coach is a no nonsense is fine, but like you win, you enjoy that win.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. The next game. 2 of the most confusing teams in the country. Probably the most two. Alabama and Rutgers.
That one you can just take a shot in the dark at.
This is I'm gonna take a coin. I'm gonna flip it 9 times, and if it's heads 5 times, I'll take Alabama. If it's tails 5 times, I'm taking Rutgers. So, well, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like you said, you're looking at mediocre team in the SEC. I guess I don't even want to say mediocre. That sounds mean, but middle of the road. We'll call them middle of the road team in the SEC, and then you take Rutgers, one of the best teams in their conference. So that one's really a toss up. I always hate those 6-11 matchups because they always seem tough to me. I don't know what it is about 6-11, but they always mess me up.
Well, I'm flipping a coin right now, and the coin landed on tails. So we are going with Rutgers for mine.
All right, you go Rutgers. I'll go Alabama. I'll go Alabama.
Yup. Your Kentucky accent, real show.
My Appalachian accent.
Yup. Texas Tech, Seattle. The best team in Texas. Much better than the Longhorns who lost to TCU today. Love Chris Beard, love the Longhorns. I just like giving Texas fans crap because they're Texas fans.
Yeah.
And Texas Tech would demolish Seattle.
Yeah, I don't see any other scenario.
Although the 7-10 game.
Things happen, but I don't see it.
This 7-10 game, though. Colorado State and Loyola Chicago.
I think I might take your Loyola Chicago or there.
I like David Roddy too much. David Roddy, I don't care who they put on him. I'm taking David Roddy to score 20 plus in this game, no matter what. Colorado State. I think Colorado State very well could beat the 2 seed in this area. Wisconsin, St. Peter's. Wisconsin should beat St. Peter's unless you have any arguments. But Colorado State-Wisconsin game, that would be must-watch TV.
Yeah, it's definitely one I'm going to watch. Will if it happens.
Kansas moving into East region, next region. Yeah, Kansas and Long Beach State. Yeah, Kansas easily.
Should be. That could be a trap game.
1/16 seed trap game.
I mean, it happened twice last year?
No. Once in history?
I thought it happened twice last year. Okay.
A 16 seed upsetting a 1 seed?
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of the 15-2.
Maybe.
As we move to Seton Hall, Murray State. It's interesting that Lenardi puts Murray State at this 9 seed. Don't like it at all. I take Murray State. I like KJ Williams a lot.
Yeah, I can see Murray State winning that game.
I think Murray State has a more complete team. So give me the Racers moving on to round 2, as we will see Houston, Wake Forest. I hate having to choose Houston here. I just don't think Alondes Williams would be able to get it done. Yeah, I'll take Houston here. What about you?
Like we were talking earlier, and I said that I think Wake Forest would win that. I think I said Wake Forest would win that game matchup between Wake Forest and Xavier. But I could actually see Xavier beating Houston easier than I would Wake Forest beating Houston.
Same
So
here.
if we're talking Wake Forest versus Houston, then I'm going to go with Houston. But if it happened to be Xavier, if Xavier happened to win that Wake Forest game, I'm going Xavier.
Agreed. As next up, we got Illinois versus Toledo. Toledo today did not look very pretty against Central Michigan. I love the early games. Get you. It definitely is a lot of fun. But Toledo today, 17.5 point favorites, win 72-71. Albeit a botched inbounds play too from the Chippewas. So
yeah, this has been some of the closest league play I've seen in years. Like it's been really fun to watch like these conference tournaments this year because
same.
Usually it's like Gonzaga blowing away the West Coast. Like it's usually like that. You've got one team in the conference that's really good, and everybody else is terrible. But this year it's been really fun to watch.
Do you think that we could see I don't know, more breaking the record of upsets, putting above the number 19, which is the most upsets we've ever seen?
I think it's possible, honestly, because like a lot of your blue blood conferences are having rough years. The ACC is tremendously down. Usually, the ACC easily puts in 5 or 6 people, and this year they're scratching their heads trying to throw people in there. SEC, I I think you could make the argument as well that like you have maybe Kentucky, and I don't want to start naming names and forget somebody, but like you have a few teams that are really good and are going to the tournament, and then everybody else you're just like, if they do this and this and this, then yeah, they can get a bid. So I think this is a good year for upsets.
Same here, but I don't think I could ever have Toledo upsetting Illinois, especially after what they showed today. I don't think there's a single player in the MAC conference that could stop Kofi Coburn. But moving into a battle of another Big Ten school for Ohio State, and they're going up against Notre Dame. This is an easy EJ Liddell and Ohio State pick for me.
Yeah,
Notre Dame doesn't have what it takes. I think Ohio State, that 6th seed, it could be very dangerous. I think that, especially looking at, there's no one that's unbeatable in college basketball right now.
Oh no.
So Ohio State could be very dangerous, as we will look towards Villanova and Longwood next. Villanova should win that handily.
Yeah, I shouldn't see a problem with that. Jay Wright's got things locked in there.
But next up, got Miami and USC. Does SoCal take on the Beach and win, or does the Beach triumph?
Go USC in that one.
I agree. I don't think Miami has anyone that can play with USC's bigs. USC is tall, lengthy, and athletic, and then you have Miami, which is guard oriented. It would be tough for sure. And moving into we have Kentucky, Georgia State.
Kentucky's terrible. I take Georgia State. No, I'm joking. It's Kentucky. Yeah. they're really been playing really well here lately. So I don't see them getting upset this year. Not like that.
And then looking towards The next part of the bracket, Baylor, Norfolk State. Baylor with a easy.
Should be.
Next up, Michigan State, San Francisco.
Yeah, I'd take Michigan State all day. Never discount Izzo on this time of year.
That's very true. Although at the same time, I'm looking at San Francisco. They have one player who I like, and that's Jabari Bouya. I think that he could potentially is like it's star power versus Michigan State. They don't have star power. They play team basketball.
Yep.
So I'll take the Dons barely, although when I probably shouldn't pick against Izzo.
Yeah.
Next up,
a long time ago, I'd be like, this just isn't his year. And every time I say that, it's like, okay, it's always Tom Izzo's year.
I mean, next up, LSU, South Dakota State. We talked about the Jackrabbits earlier. Do you think they have what it takes to beat LSU and the Tigers?
No, probably not. That's another game I do want to watch because I think that'd be really entertaining basketball. But no, I think LSU comes away with that one.
I agree. I think having Tari Eason just sets them apart there, but at the same time, South Dakota State. Part of me wants to say if they are if they get the matchup with Houston, I take them in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But moving in to the UCLA Bruins and Princeton. Yes. UCLA should mop the floor with Princeton.
Should, but they're really smart.
That's how we pick our brackets. They're both colleges are.
I like their colors.
Yeah, you got the Engineers, or not even Engineers. That's USC. Got UCLA versus the Nerds of Princeton. Jalen Malone at Princeton versus Juzang, Bernard.
Yeah.
Vasquez,
literally like Revenge of the Nerds kind of scenario here. So I'm taking the Jocks.
Yeah. As we move to Iowa, Creighton. Creighton doesn't have what it takes. However, Iowa, if they aren't hitting their shots, are screwed. They beat the living hell out of Northwestern today. And looking at it from that aspect of, and Iowa's offense is just superb. Keegan Murray, I'll take Iowa all day against Creighton.
And this has been an interesting year for the Big Ten because, like, every year I always talk trash about the Big Ten because they have so many teams in the top 25 at the beginning of the year. And then as they beat each other up throughout the year, they all fall off. And come tournament time, it seems like people are stretching themselves, trying to make excuses for why all these teams should be in there. But this year, there's some really solid teams in the Big Ten that I really want to keep an eye on. Like Indiana's one of them, Iowa, Michigan State, Michigan. I mean, there's quite a few teams that could make a run deep into this thing.
For sure. So, moving into Tennessee, a team that has excellent guard play, a team that plays incredible defense. You have three guys that can play the point in your starting lineup, and they're going up against Toothpaste.
Yep.
Are we going with Tennessee or Toothpaste?
Tennessee did not match up well against Arm & Hammer in the regular season, but no, I'm joking. Tennessee's all day. Colgate. Like I said, Colgate, this is their third year out of 4 years. So, like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's their team. Maybe it's their coach. But yeah, it's going to be Tennessee as far as the game goes. If that's the matchup, then that's another one of those that we were talking about earlier. Like, if they match up against somebody else, maybe they have a shot.
Yep, and then moving into next, though, Boise State, Michigan. Meaning because I'm an Illinois fan and Michigan lost today. We are replacing Michigan with Indiana. So we got Boise State and Indiana. Who do you got?
Um, yeah, that's one that like I would probably take Indiana. Just they've really put together a good program this year, so I've been really impressed with them all year.
Same here. Although I will say, if
Sorry, boy.
Jackson Davis gets screwed over and gets put in foul trouble, I'm not liking them so much.
Right.
However, if he plays clean basketball, should be all as good. But for Boise State, you gotta go up against Kigab, Shaver, Akot, and Dejan Hart all scoring 10 or more points a game. So it's four guys that can score versus whoever is the hot hand plus Trace Jackson Davis. What? So you're going with Indiana. I think I'd take Boise State here, but it would be tough.
Yeah. Like I said, it's seven. It's another one of those 7-10s that are just weird for me. But yeah, I would go Indiana in that one. Just like I said, I've been really impressed with them. Usually, I don't give Indiana much credit during the postseason, but I think this year they could actually put something together.
I agree. As we look towards Duke and Jacksonville State. Now this annoys me.
Yeah.
Is Jacksonville State is a 15 seed. I think that Brian, I think that Wright State very much well deserved that 15 seed instead of them, just for what they did in their postseason tournaments. But
I could see that.
you know what? That Duke all the way against any of those three teams.
Yeah. I mean, with Jacksonville State, you're literally looking at the second best team in their conference. So, and only the top kid gets in. So,
Yeah. As we move into the next division, conference, whatever you want to call these, the next section, Arizona versus Wright State Bryant, Arizona easily.
should be.
And then North Carolina, Iowa State.
That's an interesting game.
That's a very fun game because you have Baycott against Brockington.
Yeah.
I think North Carolina, personally, because Iowa State had their little run at top of the college basketball scene for about a couple weeks, and then they just slowly started declining down everyone's ladder. And 9 seed might even be too much for them in reality, but
Maybe. But at the same time, North Carolina has been very on and off this season. They've had some games where they just don't look like the same team at all. And my fear, if you want to call it that, is that they're not. They're going to hit another one of those kind of lows. And I think I'm going to take Iowa State in this one.
I see where you're coming from. And moving into Texas, Wyoming for me, and Texas SMU for you. Would you have the Mustangs beating the Longhorns, or would you have Texas getting the win against their in-state competition?
So we have the Longhorns against the Longhorns in that one?
Longhorns against Mustangs, yeah.
Longhorns against Mustangs. Yeah, either way, really, I would say Texas should be able to handle things.
Yeah. And Texas, Wyoming. Texas's defense is just so, it's tough. I'd probably have to go look right now, actually, at San Diego State, Wyoming, because San Diego State won that, and they held them to 66. San Diego State's defense is better than Texas's, in my opinion, slightly. But because they did manage to pull off that win, I would take Texas over Wyoming. Next up, a game that I think both of us are really looking forward towards if this would happen. Providence, Chattanooga.
Yeah, if that game were to happen, that's definitely one I want to watch because I think that could be really, really interesting. I want to take Chattanooga. My gut says Chattanooga.
I would love to take Chattanooga. I love the Mocs, but I feel like just Providence being Providence, they've had so much luck on their side. I don't think it runs out in the first round.
Yeah, that's understandable too.
And their game today, barely beating Butler when they should have probably destroyed them. Watson had a good game. Horchler had a good game. Bynum had a good game. Al Durham, Reeves both need to do better, but players will step up come March, and it's just a matter of which team's players will.
Right.
So I'll take Providence here. As we move into our final 4 spots, St. Mary's, Davidson, 2 of the most entertaining teams to watch this year. Who are you taking?
I like that matchup too. If that's another one. Like if that actually happens, then I'm kind of excited about watching that. But I would take Davidson in that one, just because I think St. Mary's is just. I think they just come from a weak conference, and well, Davidson does too, to be fair. But yeah, just because I love upsets, I would take Davidson in that one.
You see, I also have Davidson. Their offense is second to none at some points throughout this year. And I just think Davidson being Davidson, St. Mary's, I think I'll have them. I think this would be an overtime game for sure. I think this would be a game going down to the wire. I take Davidson just because I'd want to upset my bracket, but realistically, St. Mary's should win it. So, no, just because of that, I'll take St. Mary's actually. As Purdue, Montana State is the next one. If Purdue lost to Montana State, I would give every single Purdue fan in the state of Illinois crap for at least another year.
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, I'd take Purdue in that one.
Marquette, San Diego State.
Marquette's Big East, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin and the Big East.
Yeah, Big East has been really entertaining this year too to watch. So hopefully they can take that on. San Diego State's had a pretty good run here lately too. So that'd be another interesting matchup. I want to go with Marquette on that one just because I feel like they've probably had tougher competition throughout the year.
I'm going to take San Diego State because I think, again, their defense is incredible. Marquette's better on defense than offense. I'll take the Aztecs in a game which should be theirs. And moving into Auburn, Delaware, Auburn should easily take this.
Yeah. It's Delaware. So, yeah, Auburn should take that. No problem.
Then looking into our final little segment, if I were to tell you to name your top 3 title contenders right now, who are they?
Ooh, all right, let's see. Top 3 title contenders right now. Probably go. I'm trying to think in order. I'd probably go Duke, then Baylor, then Gonzaga.
All right. I'm probably going number 3, Texas Tech, number 2, Kentucky, and number 1, Arizona.
Oh, I forgot about Kentucky. I put Kentucky at 3. Sorry.
All right.
Well, yeah, I'll throw Kentucky in there at 3 rather than Gonzaga.
Makes sense. Thank you to everyone who's joining and watching this late. We're ending this a bit early. There's a great game going on. I got to go catch the end of that because Wyoming, UNLV, very underrated teams. And I got to make sure that game is ready. I got to go tweet about that. And thank you to everyone tuning in. Make sure you check out our YouTube Creating Madness, our Twitter at ATR Madness, and our Instagram _Creating Madness. Jimmy, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem, man. Appreciate it.
And we will see you guys later. Thank you all for tuning in.